Ron, don't look now, but there's someone behind you.
Oh no!
That's cute.
So everybody introduce yourself. Tim, you start.
I'm Tim.
Hi, Tim. I'm Clay.
Hi, Clay.
Hi, Clay.
And who are you?
I'm Wulf.
Hi, Wolf.
That's Wolf.
Actually, I'm on top.
We're all different. And was that Ron? Or are you David Bowie?
AKA David Bowie.
Right.
Bowie, not Bowie.
Last but not least, we have
Vito.
Oh, hi, Vito. Okay.
Oh, I wanted to do a shout out to John Ashfield for doing our theme song.
Yeah.
Give them some proper props.
Yeah.
So, John Ashfield of the Bobbleheads.
Yes.
Thank you,
Cheers.
Very cool.
I salute you with my bubba. This, by the way, is awesome. It's an insulated beverage container. It'll keep your water chilled for like 18 hours.
Oh, let me see.
And no ring on your table.
What's it called?
Bubba.
We got water.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's cool. We got one. My sister-in-law got one for Bill's mom when she wasn't drinking enough water, and she never used it. So Bill inherited it.
I lose those.
And I fell in love with it, so I got mine. I got a green one. So, yeah.
She's still very dehydrated in the meanwhile.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. And bitching about it, too. So dry.
For sure.
So, all right. Well, good. Thank you for that shout out, Tim. So, current events, updates. We know Vito has an opinion. Vito?
About
Current
COVID?
events.
Current events?
Or
Trump's the Antichrist? What?
that one. Yeah.
Can hear you? It's fooled everybody? Anyway, well, I was out and about yesterday, and there was actually people eating at the restaurant.
Where at?
In Anaheim.
Were they, did they have like mannequins or different blow-up dolls to separate?
No, there was a sheriff in there. It was a barbecue place, and there was a sheriff eating, and nobody had face masks on except for the employees. We went to get barbecue with a friend.
Was there social distancing enforced by the restaurant, or was it just a free for all?
When they had on the tables, the distance on the tables, but they weren't busy at all.
Okay.
So I think they're kind of a rebellious place, because I don't think most places are at that yet.
Did they have like two swinging doors and a sign that said saloon on top?
Pretty much. I could tell, because it's in a commercial area. And can I say this? They're all white. I think they think they're special.
You can say that.
I can say that.
Well, Bill and I went up to Sacramento. I went up on Thursday, and then he took the train up on Friday after work to visit a friend. And, and this probably gets down into our later topic, but when we were there, Sacramento has been very fortunate. Their 4-county area has only had like 80 deaths. And so they're one of the leaders in the reopening. And even there, it wasn't open, but a lot of places were open. I was surprised. And if they weren't open yet, they were opening soon. And most of the restaurants I went to, that I visited, like just to do takeout, were doing the social distancing within. And then they said that when we open for sure, we'll definitely be social distance. But the mask usage, it was bad.
It was bad?
I walked into places where me and the clerk were the only people that had a mask on, and everybody else wasn't.
Retail or restaurants?
That was retail. In the restaurants, everybody had a mask on.
Yeah, except for that one yesterday, all the restaurants I've been in have been masks and social distancing enforced. Really.
And I only saw one where they had people sitting at the table, but I don't know if they were employees, because I've seen that before. I've gone into other places for pickup, and they're like, you can't sit down, they're family, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. So.
In Palm Springs, the Tropical restaurant, have you ever been there? It's really awesome.
Oh, no.
They got popped they had employees sitting down, and the inspectors came in, and he said they were dressed like police officers, and then the police actually came because they were called. And they gave them $1,000 fine for their employees sitting down with their family eating in the restaurant.
My
They
God.
weren't even customers.
Wow.
Wow.
So there's some tough enforcement out there too.
In Santa Clara County, I know I've heard stories from coworkers that they've been pulling over people in cars for having more than one person in the car. Although this was a couple of months ago.
Yeah, I think that's a bit extreme if they're family members. I mean, but who
They live in
knows?
the same household, but what's the problem?
I know. It's like,
Well, my friend Kat, who was in New Zealand, she's just shocked and appalled that Bill and I have been going back and forth to Salinas to take care of the family house. And she said that if you tried that in New Zealand back before they opened up, you would have been stopped by every police authority that you went through their jurisdiction, and out on the open road, you would have been stopped by the military. So
That's why they have 0 cases. That's, this is going
New
back.
Zealand, yeah.
Vito was talking about regarding leadership in this, is that there is no clear leadership. And so people, I think, are acting accordingly. And there's a big variation in what is acceptable, who's in charge, county by county, what they're doing. And I think it's probably very confusing.
Because they say it's states. Oh, it's in charge of the states and the governors, and then if they don't do something that he doesn't like, then he tries to. He's.
And
look at the letter the DOJ just sent to Los Angeles, telling them that their continued shelter in place into July could be illegal and unconstitutional.
Well, and
LA is the shit show of COVID-19 in the state of California. Let them do what they need to do.
Exactly.
Right.
And like at different states and different places, the mayors say, well, I'm going to leave it up to the businesses to decide how they want to run it. I mean, so it's just very, it's very strange how this is all sort of playing out, because there isn't a lot of organization. But I think common sense says that, we can at least be cautious, wear our masks, keep our distance, and, but that might not help everybody, but at least individually, that's something we can do.
Is it ironic that men feel emasculated by wearing masks?
You seem to enjoy it.
Stop it!
Do you guys see that the eye from his avatar is going into his beard?
how very abstract.
Awesome.
I know. I'm like a Picasso. I like abstraction.
Any more thoughts on current events before we spin off into our upcoming topic?
One thing I wanted to just touch on briefly is just because there's a lot of stuff where people are evoking the ADA, the
American with Disabilities Act.
Yeah, for
those
saying,
those fake letters that say I can't wear a mask.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing, they're saying, well, I've got a health condition that makes it so I can't wear a mask, so you need to be able to accommodate me. And nobody's really acknowledging that on legal grounds. That falls flat because
it doesn't exist. If there was a medical condition that you couldn't wear a mask, you'd have nurses and doctors dropping dead 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's bullshit.
Right.
They're talking about hypoxia. You're not going to get hypoxia from a mask. Unless it's made out of lead.
Well, even just the way that the law is written, though, the law is written, if accommodating you puts other people at risk, they're not obligated to accommodate you.
Right.
That's the way the law is written.
Yeah, so, you can't go to a swimming pool with a oozing sword that's going to spread to other people, right?
Well, but I think this is a very important issue, and it's a fine balance between deciding how we are going to proceed with this and how we're going to open, and how we're going to keep our freedoms. We don't have to give up our freedoms so that they get eroded. In other words, little by little they keep eroding your freedoms. So guess what? Each one they take back, it's harder to get back again. So I think we
but
have.
your freedoms come with responsibilities, and you have a responsibility to public health, and you can't make up a fake civility to not wear a mask and expect to be treated with any kind of respect or dignity. You're lying through your god. Those people are lying through their goddamn teeth.
Well, but I think that's a little esoteric. I've never met one of those people, and I'm sure that the numbers are yeah, they are, but I don't think it's something that's really going to be bothersome day by day.
And yet the media is giving them a voice.
Fox News is pushing.
Look what the media gives our president a voice. The media gives him the biggest voice. So what the media gives a voice to is exactly what we should not be paying attention to.
Ratings.
Well, what is it? It's not the shelter in place. They're calling it something like against freedoms. What is it? Fox.
Home Alone 3.
Oh my God! Help me out.
Freedom of Association. I don't know.
I haven't heard.
Freedoms are being they're kept inside. What is it called?
Quarantine.
Well, no, it's not quarantine.
Imprisonment. Captivity.
Slavery.
Hamster cage.
Yeah, that's my favorite. They're trying to compare it to that.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the phrase that they're using because I heard somebody use it.
When it pops in your head, go full on ADD. Ba-ba!
All right.
So Tim, you brought that up. Wrap it up for us. What was your end game on that topic?
Oh, I don't know that there was really an end game with it, but were we the quarantine bubbles? Was that still to come, or was that supposed to be wrapped up in there?
No. It's coming.
Okay. Well, we can recap all at once then.
Okay. So, sort of, what's our distraction from all of these current events? What are people watching? Ron, let's start with you. What have you been watching?
A friend just turned me on to a show called Midnight Gospel.
Oh, I've heard of that one.
Yeah. And it's on Netflix. I think there's 8 episodes. You can watch them in any particular order, but very briefly, it's so this character creates this avatar of himself and goes to different worlds. He's got like a supercomputer, and he picks these different worlds, and he picks like people he wants to have conversations with. And so he'll go there under this guise of an avatar and sort of interview them. And then the background is this sort of psychedelic, acid-inspired, but interesting background of all sorts of things. Like one's a zombie apocalypse, one's a, kind of like the teddy bears from the Grateful Dead, one's something else. And the people are real people that he's interviewing, but it's set in this sort of cartoony, fun. Wow. Yeah.
Midnight Gospel on Netflix.
Gospel on Netflix, and they're each episode's not too long. There's no commercials, and it's enjoyable. I really it's the first thing I've seen in a while that that stands out.
Cool. That sounds interesting. Well, I've written that down. We can put a link to that on the info. Let's randomize Wulf. What's up? What you watching?
What I'm watching? Let's see. I'm going through a series called The Night Flyers on Netflix, and I think we're going to hear Netflix pop up repeatedly during this conversation. That's a sci-fi story written by George R.R. Martin of Game of Thrones fame.
Okay.
Wow.
That's very psychological. Other stuff that I watched recently. Hello? Okay. Thought someone was interrupting. Sorry. She-Ra, because, why not? And I'm talking about the new version, not the original 80s version. That has a lot of gay themes in it. And just last night, we watched this really, really, really odd French animated film from the late 70s called The Fantastic Planet.
Oh, wow.
That one is another one in the trippy area, yeah.
What was it like?
Like little human creatures rising up against these big blue alien creatures, and
where'd you watch it? Watch it? Was it Netflix as well?
No, this was on a DVD that James
okay.
purchased. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Sounds pretty interesting.
It does.
Yes, it was very interesting. I recommend edibles.
I was going to say, what strain were you on?
This podcast brought to you by.
Okay, Vito. What are you watching?
You know, actually, I'm not watching anything. I'm not, but I'm planning on watching Picard.
Okay.
That one's good.
Yeah.
Does that mean you're playing like Animal Crossing?
No.
Are you reading?
No, I'm.
She doesn't know how to read.
Anne Rice books. I
Oh,
want
nice.
a couple
Okay.
of Anne Rice books that I haven't read yet.
Have you ever read Cry to
to
Heaven?
Heaven? Yeah,
That one's a good one.
yeah. Except for the last two, I've read them all.
Oh.
But no, I definitely want to see Picard. But I'm focusing my free time on trying to come up with ways to make money online that I could do anywhere.
I heard on NPR, Dominatrix was struggling with that. You know, how do you whip someone's ass online?
Yeah.
Good luck.
OnlyFans,
I mean,
just
like
for
working
fans.
from home, but not working for the man. I want to try. I want to
Commission
focus on
animation.
that.
You can wear whatever you want and bring out your camera. You know, you're good to go. You sell yourself, honey.
Sell yourself. There's
Yeah.
not a lot of money in that in the beginning.
And, you know, it's free for you, but they got to pay.
Gonna monetize all of this.
Yes.
No idea what you're talking about.
Mhm.
Okay, Timmy, you got a big grin on your face. What you watching over there?
Really, I'm not watching a lot. If there's anything I'm doing regularly, it's just Schitt's Creek. Trying to get
Love
finished
that.
up with that
Cool.
on season 4. But other than that, it's just like Rachel Maddow, which I can't really stomach a whole lot of any news these days. So maybe like once a week I'll put it on just to see like, yep, still fucked up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There was a great quote attributed to her. She said, "This is a terrible time to have a terrible government." So,
Yeah, for sure. But
Absolutely.
it's what we have.
well,
So,
Bill got us started on Downton Abbey, and we just started season 6. So,
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
so we're doing that. I started Tales from the Loop or Inside the Loop the other night, but I was sleepy, and you really need to pay attention, so I have to start that. I'll have to start that over. But a friend of mine had a brilliant idea. He's rewatching Sense8 from the beginning, and I love that series, so I'm looking forward to doing that. And he heard on a podcast that from this comedian who loves the old. Anybody see this back in the 80s or 90s? The British series Red Dwarf,
Yeah.
Yes.
where the
yes.
guys in suspended animation for 3
Oh, it's a
million
great
years.
story.
And they were talking about how the descendants of the cats would walk around with spritzers, and they like mine, 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 mine. So now I'm like, I've got to see this. That sounds
Sometimes you're
hysterical.
back in time in a shower and you get to see this nice butt in the shower.
I used to remember people doing that at the Ramrod.
Mine,
Mine?
mine.
It's usually involved like licking though, not.
They weren't carrying a spritzer when they did that.
Yeah, the cats
Their own-
evolve over the million years.
They had their own
animation, and then they leave the ship.
Cool. Yeah, it sounded fascinating. So,
Red Dwarf is good. Blake 7 is really good.
Mhm.
Want to see a sci-fi,
The old-
British old sci-fi? Really good. Doctor Who, of course.
we'll have to check it out. All right. Well, and then this rolls us into the third permutation of the whole current events and COVID and quarantine. Tim was talking about quarantine bubbles and how strict are you with your social distancing. And
Mhm.
I found out about Red Dwarf and my friend watching all this stuff, not just online, but we went up to Sacramento because his partner was out of town on business. And they have a large house. It's a 4-bedroom house, you know, nearly 2,000 square feet. So we felt like the three of us could manage, you know, coexisting in that space at a respectable distance. And I was hesitant to tell anybody that I did it because I didn't want a bunch of shit about it. because I remember I was listening to an article recently on NPR, listening to a presentation on NPR, and this couple was saying, we started off really strict, and there's these two other couples, and we would have social distance gatherings, at more than 6 feet, 10 feet apart. And then as time went on, one of the couples, the wife of one of the couples was saying that how bad this was for her mental health to be so distant from everybody. And I know, Tim, you talked about that before. And so they decided that they were going to shelter in place their 3 households together as if it was one unit, even though they didn't live together. And so, they're still, super diligent about washing their hands. If anybody has the sniffles, they stay home, and the partner stays home, and yada yada yada. But it's interesting because
no one got sick
so far. Everybody's fine. But that doesn't mean much in the short term. That's only going to mean something in the long term, and that's the issue.
Right.
Here's the problem with a lot of this too, I think, is that they stopped testing, for example, a lot of physicians, nurses, hospital workers, so this whole pretense of, we're testing, we're doing that is baloney. There are so many holes in it, and there's so many inefficiencies the way we're handling it in this country that it's ineffective. It's probably expensive and a little bit wasteful. And I've noticed, like, for example, at different hospitals, they're not testing patients as they come in. They started doing elective surgeries at certain places. And, people are trying to do their best. But I think this whole business of, people judging other people for, you're doing this or you're doing that is baloney. But we also have to be careful of how we judge others, because that's how it'll end up coming back to us. So if we're sitting there pointing our finger at everybody and look at that person, what are they doing? Well, you better be doing the same damn thing. Otherwise shut up about it.
Well, how many people here have been tested for active infection? Have you, Ron? Really? You're a healthcare worker and you've never been tested?
They have elective testing if you're symptomatic, but they do not test us.
Okay. Because I took advantage. The city of Oakland has free testing for all residents, and this is allergy season, so I'm harking and hawking and oozing and swollen and puffy and you name it. I'm disgusting.
You need a shirt that says, "I swear it's allergy."
It's allergy. It's fine. I'm fine. So I went ahead and got tested. And, don't have an active infection as of 2 weeks ago. That's all. It's just a snapshot, and I'm really looking forward to antibody testing because I'd love to find out. And I know that you're in that boat as well, because Vito, because you think that you were exposed and survived, and that's great. But yeah, no, it's weird times that we're in.
It's weird times, but I think, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, as far as like the bubble and stuff like that, it's something, if this ever happens again, I'm definitely going to play it differently. I've been really super strict about it. I live alone. And, I'd thought about it, maybe like a month and a half ago. It's like, okay, well, next time this happens, I'm going to have somebody that we're just going to have an agreement. We'll flip a coin. It's like, okay, we're staying at your house, whoever wins the coin flip. But, in the meantime, I'm still here for the most part, being really diligent about, sheltering in place and not having anybody over.
Well,
last week I had somebody come over just because it was the anniversary of James' death, and we were doing a Zoom call with a bunch of people, and I wanted somebody here.
We're really busy now.
Yeah, it's true.
Traffic is back. 57 North is jammed. It's almost back to normal here in SoCal.
I think
even when I was being strict, I have a 90-year-old neighbor upstairs, and I'm her IT person, and so, I would go up, and in the beginning I was spraying myself.
I'm sorry. Say that again, Clay?
I'm her IT person.
Sorry. Go ahead.
You do know I was a computer installer back in the day. I installed networks with floppy
You
disks.
do know me, don't
Yeah.
you?
Yeah,
She's been watching Downton Abbey. You better be
NS400s or what?
careful. How dare
5
you?
and a quarter discs.
I bought this to ward off Vito's bullshit.
Yes.
Look into the evil eye. Look into the evil eye.
One.
Anyway, as I was
Go ahead,
saying,
play. Sorry, I just had to process that.
I was letting it go.
Thank you.
Not that it didn't cross my mind.
I will go up into her. I've been bringing her food and, doing shopping for her and, and stuff. She's very independent and she doesn't really want a lot of help, but when she asks for help, I'm not going to say no.
No, and that's wonderful.
We both put on our masks and, we wash our hands. I mean, washing your hands is the best thing you can do. So,
Amen.
Well, yeah, she's definitely vulnerable, so for sure.
well, she gave me pneumonia, so back in January. So I owe her. No, I'm kidding.
Your plateau.
Some COVID.
Revenge is a dish served with green tea and grumpy.
Here, I got this for you.
Yeah.
So, well, what about anybody else? Anybody else have some experiences about, are the bubbles small, or have you expanded them over the last 2 months? Where you combined households, Wulf. What was that like?
Finding movers was interesting. I did find movers to help me with the move from the apartment to the new house, but they did stipulate that I had to pack up my bathroom and the kitchen on my own, so I did that. So that was good. Everyone did their best to maintain 6 feet apart, but it's really difficult. They did wear masks most of the time. I wore a mask when I could. With the other guys here, I don't have to wear a mask or anything like that. We know each other pretty well. Let's see. We've had James's coworkers over because they've been bored and were really eager to help us, and they baked us a very nice carrot cake, which we appreciate. And we did have a friend of ours over yesterday for cigars. He stayed about 6 feet away from us on the back patio that we've got, so that worked out really well. So, yeah, that's what my story is. I wear a mask when I'm out, and I try and be as conscious as I can of people around me.
I don't wear a mask in the car. You see people wearing masks in the cars, and I'm like, why are you wearing a mask in your car?
Because it makes them feel sexy.
Yeah.
Or
on the street by themselves on an empty street wearing their masks.
When I got out of the car to go get the pizza that we ordered, I'm like, I'm going in, have the car ready to go. I'm stealing it. I'm a bandito. It was already paid for with the credit card, so it's fine.
Are we sure that these people driving with the masks aren't people that would be driving with a mask anyway, regardless of COVID?
Possibly.
There's so many more of them, though. There's so many more of them. I mean, especially in the Bay Area, I see a lot of that before all this, but now it's 10 times as many people, if not more.
Yeah.
So.
I wonder if it's people they're doing a bunch of different trips to I'm going to go to Target, I'm going to go to Safeway, I'm going to go to Lowe's, and I'm just going to leave the mask on the whole time, because if I'm taking it on and off, it's just risk more, transferring it to something.
You're admitting you wear your mask in your car, is what you're saying.
No, I don't do that.
I will through the drive-thru.
I'm just saying, I'm trying to think of reasons why somebody might do that.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
otherwise it's
fast food drive-thrus want to wear masks.
Sometimes you just forget you have it on. Sometimes you forget you're in a post-apocalypto COVID situation and you forget to put it on. It's a weird time. You just on, off. I don't know.
Well, I've gotten in the car with the mask on and I've taken it off, and then we get to a light and the person next to us has their window rolled down, and I'm like, okay, we're not 6 feet apart, so I either roll up the window or put the mask back on. So,
it's really stopping interaction between people, and it's you see somebody and it's you avoid them.
It's so funny to watch.
Or do you recognize them? There are a lot of people I can't recognize by their eyes if that's all I can see. I'm like. Yeah.
Oh. I was saying our patients have to wear the mask now, and so they come in like this. and I have
Mhm.
them in their airway because to put in a breathing tube, And it's funny because you see their eyes, and then you're like, okay, let me see what you look like, and it's like a reveal, Sometimes you're like, wow, and other times, oh,
Oh.
I wouldn't have expected that,
Yeah.
Like it's funny, it is weird, It's
It's Ron. You want to reveal up here, not down there.
oh. Well, it's a start.
Has there been anybody where you're just like, shit?
It's a package.
There have been a couple where you're like, whoa, that I didn't expect that.
What was that on Seinfeld, the breathtaking baby?
Yeah. That's
So,
right.
so Ron, you suggested as part of this whole topic that we talk a little bit about the emotions of, are we handling our emotions as individuals and as part of a community through all this? So why don't you expound upon that?
Well, first I'll say, partly what got me thinking about that, and something I would like to talk about in the future, was that Vito had brought up the book The Velvet Rage, which I didn't have a chance to read, but it started me looking into it and, seeing what it was about. And it just got me thinking a lot about how we process trauma, like how the trauma of coming out, the trauma of living in a society that is often, especially our generation, not been very accepting, the trauma of HIV, all these things, and how it affects our behavior. And childhood trauma, but then it got me thinking too about this COVID situation, is that a lot of people are still talking about numbers and reopening, and I was listening to this radio broadcast where this lady was going through the obituaries, and she was going through each individual story of each person, and how really personal, and how that person is then affected by 10, 20, 30, 40 other people, right? And then these things, and then we're expected, oh, let's go back to quote unquote normal. So I think what it really got me thinking about, are we giving ourselves enough time to emotionally deal with what's going on? And process that. And if we don't give ourselves time to do that, how is that going to affect us in the future?
You mean like a PTSD type of thing?
Yeah, like they said, some of the soldiers who had PTSD from the wars, one of the reasons they had it is because they never had closure. They couldn't go to a funeral. They couldn't, process saying goodbye. They were like, okay, your friend's gone, and that's sad, and let's keep going, and I think it's a mistake for us to not allow ourselves time to look at this issue seriously.
A lot of people haven't been touched by it, though. I mean, a lot of people don't know anybody that had it, don't know anybody that died, and those are the ones that are very callous and like. And
they don't recognize the good fortune and the privilege to be able to say that I don't know anybody.
That's right. And aside from that, I mean, these are our American brothers or sisters. These are our global family, our human family, and perhaps they're not wanting to see that because it's a reflection of their own mortality. But we should look at these people not as numbers. Oh, X amount of people died, but no, this is a very big thing, and it's a very emotional time, and we should allow ourselves time to grieve, time to cry, time to be angry, time to go through the grieving process so that we can heal.
A friend of mine asked the question on Facebook. He's like, so where do you cry these days? A lot of people, it's their car. They're out running errands, and they just get it out of their system there.
And then they turn up the Donna Summer and
I will survive. Or it's raining.
Where do you cry, Clay?
I haven't yet. I feel a little bit anomalous throughout all this because, I'm equally introverted and extrovert, and I know how to flip the switch. And so when I'm feeling antsy about not being able to go out, I center myself and say, okay, well, this is where you can take advantage of your introverted tendencies and go with that. And I do well in a crisis when I have something to do. And Bill is one of the people who's essential at his nonprofit, and he's actually working harder than he ever has. He's only a 4-day-a-week employee, and he's been there consistently 5 and 6 days a week with the increased workload, because he's one of the handful of people that are actually showing up there and supporting the people that are working from home and the other things that they have to do. And they have a food bank and yada, yada, yada. So I have something to focus on, and I'm good at being sitting at home, quiet, alone. But I excel at that, but I did break down and make a conscious decision to expand my quarantine bubble to Sacramento. My friend that I visited there, he's actually been here twice, because for him, he needed to get out of the house, and he used to come to the Bay Area every month. So he would stop by and did the whole mask and the spray. Poor Bill trying to get in our house. I make him spray his shoes, and I put him in the steam dryer and all this kind of stuff. So we still do all that, but I haven't, like Tim. There's been a lot of loss in our lives here in our household the last year and two, and so we're still dealing with all that. And I've cried the tears that I felt I needed to cry so far. Just none of that's come up in this environment. I have close to tears of rage sometimes when I see how this isn't being handled properly. But but I do respect. I understand the car. I remember when my mom died. My sister and I both. We found ourselves, wiping away a lot of tears. Sitting in the car. And then you put your big girl pants on and you go. You wipe your eyes and you go. Back when I was having a lot of panic attacks, it was the bathroom. I would just go in there, and because then you can hop in the shower and wash it off and start fresh. So hasn't gotten to me in this scenario yet, but it's a matter of time. Because listen, if 1918 and 1919 are any indication, all we've been through is the first small wave, and there's a couple big fuckers coming. So hang in there.
Yeah, that's definitely a potential, and I like what you said about the car and the shower. Like, I like crying. I think it's really good for you scientifically. It says you get out all these hormones that are probably that you need to get out. I think it's sort of magical that humans cry. I think it's magical that humans sing. We're an odd bunch running around trying to pretend we're things, and we cry and we sing and we dance. But I love crying, and I cry spontaneously. I don't know. Sometimes I get overwhelmed, the sadness of the hospital and what's happening and the sickness. And but I have to not. I have to allow that through, and be okay with that. But I obviously I don't think it's putting on your big boy pants. I think it's big for a male to cry and be okay with that. That's actually quite one of the highest levels of maturity of being a big boy.
I use that term just in terms of you're in the car, you have someplace to go.
Oh, right,
so
right.
yeah,
Right.
wipe your eyes. Let's go. Right.
Yeah,
but if you can't cry, you're denying such a significant portion of your humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on.
I really didn't cry much before I came out. After I came out, when things would happen, I've cried occasionally, in the car, outside of the car, different circumstances, short bursts.
Yeah.
Not
Crying's. Sorry, not meaning to walk over what you were saying. Go ahead.
I think I'm done. Go ahead, Tim.
Okay. Crying's definitely cathartic. I mean, last year after James passed, I made a really conscious decision that I was just, I'm going to experience emotion as they come. I'm not going to stifle it. And that's something that, still I carry through now, through today, and dealing with all the stuff around COVID and the isolation and this and that and the other. It's like, if I have an emotion, I'm going to experience it, there in that moment. I'm not just going to shove it away in a corner and deal with it when I can, because that's how I'm going to get through all this, is by facing it head on.
Sometimes it helps to even watch a movie or play a song, to help the crying come out, in a weird way. You know what I mean? It's
there's certain songs that'll help me to cry if I really feel like I need it, and give myself permission to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say there's some stuff that I've shied away from. There's a few series on Netflix right now. There's Dead to Me, and the one thing with Ricky Gervais, I forget the name of it, but I started putting it on his own. It's like, nope, can't watch it, because it's all about somebody losing their significant other. It's like, no.
I have never seen the movie The Great Santini, because that is a PTSD opening, from my childhood. My dad was an abusive Marine, and all I needed to do was see the previews, and I was like, nope, done, not watching it.
Yeah.
I watched the end of The Sixth Sense the other day.
Just the end?
Tell you, Mom, what my secret is. Grandma. It's like, oh.
If I want to cry,
did you watch?
If I want to cry, all I have to do is even think about the color purple, and I'm gone. Or
I've never seen that.
Joy Luck Club. Oh
yeah.
Steel Magnolias.
That's my favorite. When she goes, what did she say? Laughter through tears is my favorite emotion. That really is the best emotion to when you can bring joy through laughter. If you're, being with a friend or somebody crying with you is also very healing, I think, or just being there.
I had another friend that posted about how it was on Facebook. He's like, well, it happened today. I was talking to a friend on the phone, and they said, how are you? And before I could make a word, I was just wailing. And his friend just started cracking jokes, because he knew that if he could get him to laugh, that's what he needed, right? And so so he's over here wailing, making all these noises, and his friend's just cracking all these stupid jokes. And he's like, God damn you!
And there are friends that cry too much. You're like, get it together, Susie.
My oh my. Well, that was good. We're a little off our topic list time-wise, so we have about a little over 15 minutes to wrap up. So do we want to do avatars and bitmojis, how they don't look anything like anybody ever in the history of the world, or t-shirts?
Let's do t-shirts.
Yeah.
T-shirts. Like this one.
Ooh, fabulous.
Anatomically correct.
Is that a penis?
What's happening?
That is. It's a huge untouched penis right there.
Oh my God.
It looks like a towel.
So what's that all about?
So my friend Ben Holder, he's in the group with Ricky. Oh shit, what's their name?
We interviewed him on the podcast.
Ejector. Yes. So this is Ben Holder from a sketch that a friend did with their
No way.
That's pretty awesome.
their Black Rock group. What's that called up there? The people that go, the Burners. Burning Man.
Burning. Oh.
Yeah, so it was a sketch from a Burning Man costume, and someone said, those sketches are really good. You could sell those. Really? And then the guy did this, and so when I saw it, I was like, I want one of these. This is cute.
I want one.
Yeah. And I won't buy any more T-shirts that don't have a V-neck. I'm sold on the V-neck.
You gotta let your tits free, honey.
Huh?
Huh? Yeah, let your tits breathe.
Oh,
yeah.
The V-neck.
Really? Because it doesn't stretch out?
Oh, yeah.
We're totally kidding.
I feel more oxygenated.
I love that.
It's just that the crew neck is up here, and it's become uncomfortable now. So I like the V-neck.
I do too. They're harder to find though.
Yeah, where do you? No one really sells those.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to talk to you about when we do our T-shirts. There are companies that the V-neck is just a standard option, so I'll send that to
Oh,
you.
I would like that.
Well,
I like them
we ordered
really thin too.
They're
Like,
coming.
thin.
And they're not V-necks, but maybe in the future.
Right, exactly. Well, and I also found videos online on how to turn a crew neck into a V-neck, and so I've been practicing, so I may convert all of mine. So anyway,
Nice.
I mean, like,
so enough about me.
So crafty.
What do you think about me? I mean, your T-shirt. This is your topic, Vito. Go.
Oh, all right. Let's see, you guys, if you get it or not. Pretty good there.
Space shuttle disaster. Let's see.
No, wait. No.
Okay, so
space.
Is that a Bunsen or beaker? Oh, that's a ducky.
What
is that in the
Is
hand?
that a
Is that a
lightsaber?
bong?
That's a lightsaber.
It's a
right?
lightsaber.
Oh.
That's your
Okay.
clue.
Okay.
Cool.
That's your clue.
So it's a face of somebody from Star Wars.
It's
With
Everything that's been cut
Yeah.
off by a lightsaber in the movie
severed
or in the
arms.
movies.
So who's? Oh my God, this is so hard.
It looks
Okay,
like
so that's
somebody
Luke's
has-
hand up at the top.
Luke's
That's the
Yeah.
No, that's
whatever
the
abominable
Mexican.
snowman.
right. Luke's hand, and then abominable
The
snow
The guy from the cantina, the yellow. That's the guy from the cantina, and then Darth Maul.
Maul. Very good.
Oh.
Good
Wow.
job, Mr. Tim.
Wow. Tim, your geek's hanging out.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
You saw the shirts that
You
I
know,
have.
and I'm not really even that huge a fan. I mean, I've seen them all, but
clearly.
So
I think I've only seen the one with.
Tim, are you available? What's going on?
Yeah. That's
I'm
very subtle.
available.
What's that mean?
No, old punk band from Richmond, Virginia, available.
Oh.
Oh.
Veil.
Which the back doesn't really like.
Whoa.
Or ugly happy.
Yeah.
But
That's funny.
shirtless episode coming up.
Yes.
Right. Well, since you said yes, let's see your shirt, Wolf.
All right, here we go. Make the beer go up.
Oh, wow.
Kaiju. Oh, the Gojira.
Gojira. Hi.
Yeah.
What's it say there? Made magnesium, veal, verde, and dome.
I could not look down there, so I could not tell you. I'm sure somebody will be happy to translate it.
Yeah, we need some
What Google
translation.
for?
So it's basically like Japanese university with Godzilla. Cool.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Was Godzilla first introduced in 1933?
That's really cool.
I don't actually know that, or maybe it's when he was conceived.
Most
but then
likely.
again, he's based off the atomic bomb, and that was like 1945.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's not real, right?
Sadly, no.
Gojira!
Yeah.
Gojira.
Ron?
I'd love that on my resume.
And mine is, I picked this up in Mexico, and it's a brand, I don't think it's written on here. It's called Igwe, but I just liked it because it has this, like this side is like very geometric, and this is like more smooth, you know, it's sort of like, I don't know. And then the what I really liked is the
Please.
pattern on the back and the side. It's like Cubert. You can go
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hey.
Cubert. I love Cubert.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. And I got that in Puerto Vallarta.
Oh, nice.
Well, hopefully next episode we'll have the Bear Element t-shirts on.
Hopefully.
Yes.
Knock on wood.
I was surprised that mine were coming from the Netherlands because it took 34 days for a package that I sent to my friend in New Zealand to get there.
Wow.
And it spent like a month between Los Angeles and Auckland. You know, there's no tracking in between. So.
I'm not using the service again. It takes long. Yeah.
Teespring or someone else? Teespring, right?
This one, yeah.
Yeah, Teespring.
Florence. But my package I sent to New Zealand was just a package I put together and sent via USPS, and so at least it got there. I have friends that have mailed packages back in March that haven't arrived.
have stuff from China that's still filled up that I bought. Yeah. All right.
Well, someone said something about what's your favorite T-shirt. Any comments about that?
Like a brand?
I'm just remembering something during the brainstorming. Like, what's our favorite T-shirt?
I like the style of T-shirt as far as like, I like thin material just because I can wear it in layers and I don't feel like, I don't like wearing a lot of clothes anyway. So like I like
here.
I like it, but like I like them thin, and if I can find them like that and maybe a little stretchy, and like you said, a crew neck is wonderful but hard to find for me. But and in my size, like I can't be too picky because I'm at 3XL, and I'm just glad like I'm not like have to necessarily just wear whatever. Like growing up, it's like there's the fat kid section and you got to wear whatever is there, and it's usually old man golfing clothes. So I'm happy like that I can find anything. Wait
a minute. When you were a kid, you got to buy clothes. All I wore were hand-me-downs. I can remember the number of times my parents bought me clothes on the fingers of one hand because I always had to wear somebody else's fucking clothes.
Well, I had to wear uniforms in school, so most of the time I had like one pair of jeans, one pair of shorts, and they'd buy us clothes like maybe every start of the school year. Yeah, they'd buy, but I didn't have a lot of clothes either, and got a lot of hand-me-downs and a lot of Salvation Army. But it was a little easier when I was younger. I was husky, but then I kind of
husky jeans. Remember husky jeans?
Yes.
And who feels traumatized by that? I remember that was a whole thing in the what was it, that one movie where the kid was so upset about having to wear husky jeans. And I was like, that was just my size. It never fazed me.
For me, I was so embarrassed, like because I had to go to a different section that my friends can go to. I trying things on and like nothing ever fit me right, so I was like, I'm still kind of I don't like trying things on.
I was flat-footed too, so my shoes weren't cool.
Yeah, like I had the glasses. I literally had glasses that were taped together here.
Oh,
yeah.
How many stereotypes?
Right.
Yeah.
Remember when cords were popular? Because all the people in my family have big thighs, fat asses, and huge calves. So the kids at school were like, "Hey, Clay, your cords look like a topographical map."
Mine would wear out in the thighs, so that you rub so much it would just have holes in the inner thigh.
Yes.
Oh,
Good
I
times.
had too. I forgot about that. I don't have that now.
I hated corduroys, and then we had these weird shoes that were like brown and orange. I forget what the hell they were. They were like suede, weird shoes.
Yeah.
Are you talking about wallabies?
I don't know. Yes, I think so. They would turn.
I love wallabies. Stop it.
They turned my socks orange. I only had like 3 pairs, so then all my socks were orange.
Yeah, I think I just blocked it all out, really.
I think everybody had varying degrees of childhood trauma for sure, but
I was talking to a friend of mine who's worried about her son, his relationship with his biological father, and I'm like, all parents fuck up their children, even the good parents.
That's right.
It's life. So just accept it, put money in their therapy account, and move forward. All right, darlings, we're tick-tocking towards the end here. We're getting ready for some back scratches. Who wants to go first? Okay, I'll do it.
I don't have a lot. Hey guys, thank you so much. I didn't anticipate us getting together and doing this again. I saw it differently. I didn't anticipate that everybody would be interested. And so that's really awesome. If I didn't say that before, thanks for coming back.
Oh,
and spread the word. We need more audience.
When can we cash the checks, Vito?
Right. No, spending money, not making money.
Oh.
Yeah, thank you, Vito, too, because it was quite a surprise for me and period where I was really sort of stressed out about work and not having social connections, and all of a sudden that just popped up, and I have to say, like, I'm very appreciative. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
I just love listening to you. You have a great voice.
You did too.
Oh,
Aww.
I like my little avatar people.
all right, Wolf.
I definitely would like to give a big back scratch to my friends David and Zach for various reasons. They've been going through a lot of stuff, and I just wanted to send them out good wishes to them, and just good feelings. So that's mine for the day.
Now, don't forget to send them the link to the podcast and have them subscribe.
Okay, I can do that. I'll put that as a to-do.
Yeah.
All right, me. I go.
Right? Yeah.
All right. Okay, back scratches. I'd like to back scratch my new COVID haircut that was
Good.
getting a little unruly. Friends that have just sort of helped me get through all the bullshit. Anthony, Gregory, and Nate. Wanted to give a shout out to AIDS Life Cycle because normally that would be happening next week. So what a lot of people are doing, because it's been canceled, some people are just like going out and riding the same amount of miles every day as AIDS Life Cycle. Some people are doing, something else that, involving the 545 number, because it's 545 miles total for the route for that. So support your friends that are out there doing that, because AIDS Life Cycle still has need for donations. So support your friends.
Cool. Well, I guess it's my turn. Yes, I agree with Ron and Tim and Wolf. I say back scratch to you, Vito, for putting this all together, and to you for, I share your surprise that it actually worked. I was like, oh, okay, wow. But the timing was opportune. I mean, it's like, where else were we going to be right now, honestly? So
Yeah.
And
we have something better to do.
Exactly.
Right.
And then thank you, Tim, for talking about quarantine bubbles, because it's awkward in an age of shaming. I mean, I'm on the Nextdoor app, and there's this thread that just fills me with and shocks me. It's called histrionic mass shaming. You got it from there, right? But with my friend that I went up to visit in Sacramento, Carl, a dear friend of mine, big back scratch for him for helping us to expand our little bubble in a safe and comfortable way. And we're I feel very, very fortunate to have a partner, have a roof over my head, have food to eat, and to have people that I trust. Because I have to tell you, if I was going to cry, it's the trust, because the motherfucker standing in front of me buying cigarettes without a mask on, and and touching his face and touching money and touching the counter, I don't trust that motherfucker. So if you want to shame me, shame me. I'm wearing my mask, and hopefully,
you look good in pink.
Thank you. Hopefully, we won't follow the trajectory of the 1919 Spanish flu, and we won't have a second and third wave.
Let's hope not. I mean,
yeah, but I'd rather play safe than sorry, to err on the side of caution, and I fully support everybody that wants to do that too. So,
yeah.
As far as
oh damn,
what, Tim?
The duality of what's going on out there right now, I think Governor Cuomo in New York announced that their cases reported yesterday were under 100 for the day for the first time in like 3 months. And meanwhile, North Carolina has entered into their second phase of reopening everything at the same time that they reported a record number of new cases. I believe it was over 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, the duality.
Great leadership from the top.
Yeah. One more thing about the bubbles. There's was an the quarantine bubbles. There was an article in Slate something. I believe it was Why I Have a Quarantine Bubble and You Should Too. Worth a read. Slate.com.
Oh, cool. Well, thank you for that. Alrighty, folks. We've hit our hour. So I will see you next Tuesday.
Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye. Stay safe.
Visit us at bearelement.com.